off the whole cab, all this area here. Then we've got the chassis left and the prop shaft, and we will probably cut that there because our wheelbase is too long. Then we're going to strip the Metro out. We're going to leave the wheels and the axles on, and then we're going to roll it over.
Yep.
And turn it around, back to front. So there we go.
Green team may be cracking on in age, but they're also cracking on with the pace. They've removed the petrol tank, Lyndon's going out shopping, and they're attacking the front subframe.
In a brief act of unity, Greens and Reds joined forces to go shopping for tyres and steel.
Red team have removed the petrol tank on the Sherpa and they're starting to strip it, but they're struggling with the petrol tank on the Metro. Are they really that bright? Andy, you know what a real sign of intelligence is, don't you? When someone's reading and they're actually forming the words that they're reading with their mouth as they're going along. Now, blue team have removed both their petrol tanks, but someone's removed their brains. They've forgotten to bring any tools. Oh, dear, dear, blues.
If you want any tools, you've got some cash left. Greens have got all the socket sets to serve Reds, so they're quite happy. A tenner apiece.
Time to hear the blues' plans.
Let's deal with the Metro. How are you going to tackle that?
The engine's coming out, we're cutting the roof out. The tailgate will probably be coming off and maybe possibly moving down to here so we can actually see out of it.
So that'll be a new windscreen?
Yes.
Right.
We've determined that we've had to remove the suspension units from the Metro to drop it right the way down and even cut the bump stops out to make it even lower so that when it's sitting up on top, the wheels are going to be just here.
Now, in case you didn't know, bump stops are a cushioning mechanism on the springs which help to give a more comfortable ride. The Reds finally get the petrol tank out of their Metro. With their lack of tools, the Blues resort to brute force to strip their Metro so it becomes a lightweight shell.
You got stuff all over you.
Stuff, indeed.
There's a couple of ways of doing things, isn't there? There's an easy way and there's Andy's way.
You can take the drive shafts out, because you have to pull them out because they're on a spleen. Spleen? Spline. And that way we can... Well, it's another step towards getting the engine out.
Andy, meanwhile, is trying to undo bolts so they can free the flatbed from the Sherpa and uncover their chassis.
Yeah, should we nick the red team's bolts?
If it doesn't move when we get all the nuts undone, then we'll know there's a problem.
The Greens are the only team using a one-car approach.
The reason we chose a Carlton is because it's got a subframe here,
Yep.
a subframe here.
Yep.
Subframe here, got the engine on it. What we can do is we can take this whole assembly off, take this whole assembly off here,
Yeah.
put them on the floor underneath,
OK.
then get some tubing and make up a chassis, join it all together. With the chassis in place, we then don't need the body. So what we're going to do is we're going to build a car
Right.
out of box section steel, and that is also going to be the roll cage. The Carlton body, we don't need it. The only thing it's going to be there is purely to look like a car.
The Red team have successfully freed the flatbed. Now they have to get it off the Sherpa.
Right, hold on, hold on.
Watch that headlight, Dave.
Now, I don't believe that you wanted to do that.
Butterfingers. Success! The Reds' flatbed is off the Sherpa.
Now, Rachel, from what you've seen this morning, where would you put the Greens, 1, 2 or 3?
I'd put them 1.
Really? Do you think Green teams technically are the most on the pace? Is anyone on the pace?
The Greens team's on the pace, but the Reds also, and then the Blues.
Reds? They're useless.
Yeah, but they've got a chassis already.
Now, Rachel, I worry about the Blues. What about you?
I'm a bit worried about the Blues too. I'm not quite sure how the car's going to look.
Well, they say they've got a plan, but they're keeping that very hidden. They also haven't got any tools with them, and those are the tools they have got, they're not too sure how to use. Do you think their practical skills could be found wanting in the next 24 hours?
Yes, but they look like Bodgett and Scarpa men, so I'm sure they'll be able to...
Bodgett and Scarpa men?
They look like they'll be able to make something out of it.
I gotta get me one of these.
Why you got to get one, Dave?
She's got all-round vision.
Do you want to let me
Not
out?
blocked. No.
Yeah.
She's got golden vision.
Come on, it'll be easy if we get out there.
Lyndon and Danny return from their shopping trip with steel and tyres.
OK, boys, time to get the engine out.
Right. The Blue team are taking the engine out of the Metro as they only need to mount the body shell upside down on their Astra chassis.
Is it a problem or not? What's happening? Why isn't the engine coming out?
It is coming out.
The
green team wanted to go to Bicester Village, but Laura actually didn't have what we needed, so we stuck for the scrapyard.
The Sherpa is going to have 60, 70 mile-an-hour tops. OK, I'll get there pretty quick, then we'll go straight past them.
Now, what about the greens?
If they can pull it off, good on them, but I think so somehow.
The Vauxhall Carlton has an electronic control unit, and it's causing Lyndon a lot of problems.
You can see under the bonnet of this thing there's one hell of a lot of wires, and we're not really sure what most of them do, so we're being very careful at the moment, just trying to look and try and make head or tail of what all the wiring does, so we don't cut anything important.
Even if one wire is wrongly cut, the engine won't start at all. All the contestants on Thunder Races are passionate about cars. Green Team's Lyndon has customised a Land Rover from the 1960s.
3.9 EFI Rover V8 power. It goes. Jaguar 3-speed auto gearbox, almost indestructible. 33-inch off-road tyres for maximum aggressive off-road driving, not for road use. I think it actually says something about me and it shows my character off. It is Lyndon's car and nobody else could look at it and think it's anything else.
But we're talking about an awful lot of money. How much cash have you ploughed into this?
All in all, I've probably spent about £5 minimum on this vehicle as it stands.
And how many man-hours?
Oh my goodness, almost every other weekend I'm doing something to it, but the man-hours I would hate to think.
How many times have you stacked it?
I've probably crashed it 10 to 15 times, normally into trees.
Back in the hangar, the team seem to be taking it easy. The Green Team are trying to drop the back axle of their Carlton in order to release the shell of the car.
That'll be on the floor in a couple of minutes.
Oh, don't sit down, you haven't got time.
We've got plenty of time. Yeah,
You haven't. It's falling through your hands like sand.
Compared to these lot, we got plenty of time.
The rear axle is about to drop.
Run for cover.
Look at that. Woohoo!
The wiring of the Green Team's Carlton is so complex that Lyndon has resorted to the manual, but he's finding it hard going.
Trouble being is, of course, Vauxhall, in their ultimate wisdom, draw the circuit diagrams in such a stupid way that no one but a Vauxhall engineer that wrote the drawing could understand it.
I think they need to look in the book. But I don't know which idiot decided to put these things together. Obviously didn't have us in mind. They're just making a lot of work for themselves, really. They don't really need to do that to produce a result.
This is the engine management ECU we've taken out.
Yeah.
And unless my math is very bad, I count 25 pins.
Right.
The manual clearly states there's 55 pins.
They're going to have trouble finishing.
Are you going to admit to me that maybe it was a mistake going for this car?
It's possibly, obviously going for an engine of such complexity, it might have been less than the perfect way of doing it.
Lyndon.
Hold the engines, bad man.
The Red Team are taking the engine out of their Metro. They don't need it because they're only using the Metro as a shell to go upside down on their Sherpa chassis. And the Blues have merely cut down their Astra to create a chassis.
Right, ladies.
And all the Greens have to do is lift the body off the engine.
You can hold it like that for 3 or 4 days.
Then it's all hands on deck to lift the Reds cab off their chassis. The Reds and Blues look like they'll finish on time, but the Greens are way behind. Will they be ready in time for the race? In part 3, rolling, raising and racing.
The real Milan practiced more than swordsmanship.
Wang Xiang'e was a master of guerrilla war.
The maid would pay a price for faith and glory.
Blood, sweat and prayers littered Joan's road to victory.
In the battlefield of history, hell hath no fury.
Boudicca's rock would mean death for the Romans and anyone with them.
Lucy Lawless presents Warrior Woman, Wednesdays at 9 on Discovery Channel.
Hmm.